Alright folks, welcome back to the Hidden Soundscape. Stuart Lawson here, still broadcasting from Buckhaven, still ringing in your ears. If you caught our last episode, you'll remember we were talking about the big picture, right? How AI is just transforming podcasting from almost every angle. But today, we're getting into the nitty-gritty. I'm talking about the real hands-on ways you can use AI to plan and write your own podcast episodes. Because let's be honest, sometimes the hardest part is simply figuring out what on earth you're going to talk about next. I mean, I've been doing this long enough to know that a steady flow of ideas is absolutely crucial. Without good topics, you're staring at a blank page, thinking, no, not again. This is where AI has been a total lifesaver for me, like a brainstorming partner who never gets bored, never gets tired, just spits out ideas at rapid fire. I'll give you an example. Say I'm working on a podcast about tinnitus. I'm quite familiar with that, living with it myself, you know. And I ask ChatGPT, hey, come up with a list of quirky, overlooked episode angles about living with tinnitus or the mental side of it. Suddenly I've got the science behind phantom sounds, how stress interacts with that constant ringing, or coping strategies from classical musicians. Not every idea is a winner. Let's be real, some are absolute clunkers, but it's the spark that matters. You take one, mash it up with something else, and before you know it, you've got this new direction you never would have landed on by yourself. Actually, I remember this one time where I'd been banging my head against the wall for days. Honestly, couldn't think of a single fresh take. So I used AI to riff on tinnitus in everyday life and emotional impact, and then combine them. Boom! I ended up making an episode exploring how music lovers reinterpret their favourite songs after tinnitus. It was by far one of my most personal episodes, and AI totally got me unstuck. Once you've got your topic sorted, you need to keep things tight. Structure's everything. You could have the best idea in the world, but if it's all over the shop, no one's sticking around till the end. Right? Here's where AI, again, just shines. I'll type in, make an outline for a 20-minute episode about remote work and tinnitus. Straight away, I get a logical plan. Intro with a personal story, the science behind remote work and productivity, coping mechanisms, wrap up with practical tips, like a recipe for an engaging listen. Of course, you always need to tweak these outlines. I go in and swap out generic stuff for things that connect with my own experiences, like those long nights in the studio, headphones on, the slightest buzz in my ear, making me question if it's the tech or my tinnitus acting up. I might ask for an opening hook. Remember when silence used to be quiet? Well, what if it never was again? Suddenly, that's a script with a pulse. AI is brilliant for transitions, especially if you're like me, a bit prone to tangents. You ask it for ways to move from the science bit to a personal anecdote, or from the main story to closing advice. For interview episodes, it really gets interesting. I'll feed in a guest's background, and it'll spit back interview questions I'd honestly never think to ask. It's not that I use every single question, of course, but it's a shortcut to creativity. Just a bit of honest advice here. Don't treat AI's output as gospel. Use it as rough clay, then shape it with your own stories. Like with my tinnitus, sometimes I'll ask for an analogy, and it'll serve up some American football metaphor, which, let's be honest, isn't exactly home turf here in Brookhaven. So I change it to something more like, it's like your radio's off tune, picking up static on every channel. Makes a world of difference, right? You've got your episode planned and scripted. Now you've got to make sure people actually find it. Show notes, titles, descriptions, oh, the admin of it all. And here's where AI saved me so much time. I'll plug in a summary and ask for an SEO-friendly episode description. I get back something packed with keywords for Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the usual suspects. Makes it easier for new listeners to stumble onto the show, which is the dream, right? Titles are tricky though. Sometimes the AI gives you stuff that's a bit vanilla, you know? But even then, it's dead handy for combining ideas. Maybe silence isn't silent, coping with ringing ears, or the science of phantom sounds. I'll kind of twist and turn the suggestions till one feels just right for the episode. Plus, you can use AI to map out a whole season's worth of content in one go. I'll say, suggest 10 interconnected episodes on the impact of sound design in mental health. And suddenly, there's a whole blueprint just sitting in front of me. It's honestly such a time saver. Frees you up to focus on the fun, creative parts instead of slogging through logistics. Now, there are pitfalls. Sometimes if you just copy-paste what AI spits out, you risk your show sounding about as generic as supermarket jazz. That's why, especially coming from Brookhaven, where every voice matters, you've got to inject yourself into everything you make. I always layer in my own quirks, my accent, a bit of personal flair. So folks tuning in know it's really me talking, not some bot. So to wrap, AI's there to spark ideas, help you structure, help with the marketing legwork, but it's still your voice, your stories, that keep listeners coming back. That's the secret, honestly. Next time, I'm diving into how AI cleans up your audio. That's a whole new rabbit hole you won't want to miss. Till then, keep those mics hot, and your episodes even hotter. Catch you all soon.